Hello everybody again, it is Crescent Crescent Moon with Draco. He's watching some vids.
Sleepy Foxy is sleepy.
Again, starting it like this because I'm not sure what's going to be full screen, what's not. We've got some new games, the Bottom of the Well, Depression Quest, Finger Bones, Passing Pine View Forest, hopefully The Path, and of course Spooky's House. I'm not going to do Spooky's House just yet. I wanted to do this one called Bottom of the Well. It was supposed to be pretty cool. So hopefully, this will do its thing. Windowed, please. Thank you. Yes, because windowed usually means it records. Okay, Unity Engine. Click anywhere to start. Now, I was told that this was a pick your own adventure game, so I might do a few more episodes of this. Clicking anywhere to start. This is supposed to be based on like an Alice in Wonderland, falling down a well or a dream or something that she had. Here we go. Welcome to Bottom of the Well. This game is a visual novel, meaning it is mainly text-based piece of interactive fiction, a book where you get to decide what happens next. Most of the gameplay consists of picking your choice from a selection of options which will further the story. Bottom of the Well does have some gameplay aside from multiple choice though, and the most important of which is the kind of Alice, your protagonist, you're going to play. For your first playthrough, we recommend you use default Alice, but the customization is there to be used. Which, by the way, is why we're going to run this the first time on the default Alice. And since nobody wants to watch my videos, I can't really say, decide what you guys want me to do next or whatever. But on the off chance that you're new to my channel and you find this and you want to comment on what attributes you think I should use or not use or what have you, please do. My email is kittenfoxfuzz@gmail.com. I'm also in SL as Kitty1984, SL being Second Life. Okay? So, yeah. Even if you complete the game, a different Alice might have a very different experience. If nothing else, you might just find a new way to die. Dark, thank you for playing our game, Red Nettle Studio. Yes, default Alice, thank you. The default Alice is capable of finishing the game to its true ending, but not necessarily through all the branches. This Alice is career-motivated, friendly, somewhat lazy, a hopeless romantic with no survival skills at all. She makes up for it by being a good organizer. Okay, we'll accept and start. Because like I said, we're going to do this through the actual main Alice first. The hell? Morning, Kay. Oh, it's Mad Hatter. Morning. Did you catch anniversary reading last night? No, well I tried, but I fell asleep. Listen, about that. You fell asleep? Oh, come on, Alice. In Wonderland. Okay, hold on. You know what? I'm gonna have some fun with this. Okay? Alice. Morning. Or morning. Did you catch the anniversary reading last night? No, well, I tried, but I fell asleep. Listen, about that. You fell asleep? Oh, come on, Alice. In Wonderland is like our favorite. Oh, he's Russian. In Wonderland is like our favorite. Anyway, let me finish. Something happened. I was tuning in on my radio. You're such a... What the hell is that word? What? I'm gonna say Luddite. If anyone else... Or a Ludite. If anybody else seems to know what that word is, then please feel free to comment. Amazing. I can even catch you online. Shut up. I'm not a Ludite. I just like analog things. Anyway, I was tuning into the broadcast, and I must have hit the AM switch or something, because suddenly the channel changed to something else. What, aliens? Oh, government run number of stations. He suddenly turned British. Excuse me. No, it was this weird, white noise at first. It's hard to explain why I was so drawn to it. I could hear snippets of some melody, maybe lyrics, but the signal was weak. So you turned it off and continued to look for the Alice broadcast. So I went out on my balcony and turned the antenna around until the signal came through clear. It now sounded more like music, with the odd signal in the background. ... When logic and proportion have fallen sloppy dead, and the white knight is talking backwards, and the red queen's off with her head. That is lyrics from a song. The White Rabbit, by the way. Yeah. Very good song.
Just Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah.
If y'all want to look it up. Really good song.
Yeah. Anyway, before I start getting in trouble for singing this, somebody's pirate radio broadcast of Golden Oldies. It felt like there was something else there, some message that the music was hiding. I know it sounds weird, and then I fell asleep. Well, it's a story. No, hear me out. I dreamed, and I didn't know I was dreaming. Do you understand? It was entirely lucid, but like waking up in another world. Except I didn't think of it as another world. Does this make any sense? You had a super life... I can't do Russian, so he's not Russian, okay? You had a super lifelike dream, where you didn't know you were dreaming, but you were still lucidly in control. Sounds pretty rad to me. Okay, now he's back in the 1980s. Rad, man. I'm sure it would have been, except for the whole end of the world apocalypse bit in the dream. Okay, now you've got my attention. Well, yeah, thank you, Ashbag. So like I said, it was the end of the world. Everything I did that day felt like the real thing. Every smell, every sound, every color, every touch. It's important you know that. I wasn't acting like I would in a dream. I didn't know it was a dream. Heavy. He's a stoner. There was no warning, no build-up, nothing. Just between one moment and the next, the TV had turned to the emergency alert system, and this voice that sounded like it had been recorded in the 60s told us we were under attack. Were you alone? Yeah, I had a really long day at the office, so I had sworn off all social contact for the evening. I had the TV on in the background just as noise. Wait, what? The office? You mean you've got some kind of real adult person job in this dream of yours? Yeah, actually, at the college, student admissions office. Hey, don't sound so surprised. I am going to graduate in just a few months, you know. Uh-huh. With a BA in English Lit. That's a bachelor's degree, for those of you who don't know. Shut up. Such skill with words. Anyway, what happened next? Condescending little prick. Like I said, the TV suddenly turned to the emergency alert system. Jacked the volume all the way up, too. I didn't even know they could do that. The broadcast told us we were under attack right now and that we needed to get to the shelter. That we had less than 30 minutes before the bombs hit. Jesus, sounds scary. At first, I didn't want to believe it. I switched the channel, but they were all the same, and then the sirens started. Tornado sirens, flood sirens. I don't know. I knew things were serious. So what'd you do? So, we have our first pick. I went online to find out what was going on. I immediately tried to call Chess. I needed to think about my options. Well, in the Alice in Wonderland, I remember as a child, the first thing she ran into was the Cheshire Cat, and she had asked him for help. So, immediately tried to call Chess. Chess? Who's that? My, boyfriend. I mean, I don't have a boyfriend, but in my dream I did. Wait, tell me more about this sudden new boyfriend of yours. I thought you weren't into the dating scene. Actually, I've been thinking about putting myself out there, like maybe some online dating or something, although I'm kind of afraid to check OkCupid right now. What if there's a guy there named Chess? Good icebreaker. Hi, I'm Alice. I dreamed about you last night. You were my end-of-the-world buddy. Funny. Aren't I just? You were saying about Chess? What kind of name is that anyway? I wasn't. Really, I mean, yeah, he was pretty hot, I guess, and smart and into me. What more could you ask for? I can sense you blushing all the way over here. Maybe I should check my OkCupid profile, actually. So what did your boyfriend think? Well, first I tried calling him, but all I got was a pre-recorded network busy message. But the net still worked, so I hit him up there. I mean, we did most of our communications in chat anyway. And? and I found him, but there was no time for, well, anything. I started typing, you know, holy hell, what the fuck's going on style stuff, and he just tersely replied he had to go. That's a little blunt. He told me he needed to go get his sister. His sister? How come? He'd mentioned her a few times. She's disabled, but lives in a house by herself, out somewhere in the boroughs. Did he ask you to come too? He didn't ask. I did. I'm going to be outside my apartment in 5 minutes, he said. And then logged off. I guess that's an invitation of sorts, so what'd you do? Well, I knew that Chess wasn't going to wait for me. If I wanted to go with him, I had to go right away. Just grab my stuff and go. Making quick decisions in the spur of the moment? Doesn't sound like you. So what'd you do? Went online to think about options, went with Chess to help him out with this. Well, of course went with Chess. Well, I decided to go with Chess. I mean, how couldn't I? He clearly needed help. Altruistic. What does that mean? Altruistic. Do you have any idea what altruistic means?
Negative.
Okay, I will look that up after we're done playing, and then I'll put it in the description. How long have you been dating? Cynic. Long enough to know my feelings were real. I mean, they felt real in the dream. Where did the sister live again? In a borough, practically the suburbs, so pretty far. Chess said he usually takes the subway or bus. Chess actually lived just down the street, and we always had a customary place to meet. We didn't even need to confirm the place anymore, but it didn't seem very likely we would be able to catch a bus or the subway. So how are you planning on getting to the sister in less than 30 minutes? Oh, spoiler! The bombs didn't start dropping on us within 30 minutes. It took longer than that. They did start, though. Well, that's lucky. Yeah, well, it didn't mean we were in a hurry. But you didn't leave empty-handed, though, right? Well, right, yes, I guess. I mean, I grabbed the biggest bag I had. A backpack. People always call it magic. You could fit so much into it. Bigger on the inside and all that. I think she decided she was gonna go with Doctor Who or something for a while. Oh, Jesus. Flashlight, map, radio, spare clothes, sleeping bag, food. Well, okay, food. Flashlight. Map. Radio. Sleeping bag. Okay, let's think about this here for a minute. Because we're going to need a flashlight, we're going to need a map, we're going to need the radio in case we need to hear what's going on around us, and we need the food. Yeah, we're good. Exit inventory. Go on, bro, sister, bombs incoming. How did you plan to get there in the chaos? Chaos, yeah. The streets were nuts. Everything and everyone was going crazy. Crashes everywhere, but no one was responding. The street was completely gridlocked. I'm talking maybe 15 minutes after the first announcement here. All it takes is a few cars in the wrong place. But you live pretty centrally, right? It had to be better further out. Did Chess have a car? No, but if we wanted a car, there were tons around. People just left them, keys in the ignition, and ran. Holy shit. It really must have been a bedlam. Like, you know, chaotic and weird. It was. I was so scared. So, steal a car or walk. We discussed walking. It was like 14 miles or something. It'd probably take at least 4 or 5 hours on a good day, and this wasn't a good day. Maybe a good start, though. Things might clear up outside the downtown area, and you might be able to steal a car there. Appropriate a car? Stealing sounds so criminal. Whatever you say. Any other options except stealing? Appropriating a car and flipping it? Something in between. I know a guy with a motorcycle. He really loves that motorcycle, but I wondered if maybe he'd be willing to borrow it. I mean, for fuck's sake. We were going to go rescue a disabled woman. You know him well? Reasonably? I didn't know you knew how to drive a motorcycle. I'm a woman of many talents. So what did you do? Decided to try appropriating a car, decided to walk out of the worst chaos. Try my acquaintance with a motorcycle. Let's try the acquaintance. Maybe he'd be nice. The motorcycle seemed like a good idea at the time, except that when we arrived at his building, the first thing I saw was him outside, prepping his ride together with a group of similarly attired, similarly equipped motorcycle guys. So much for borrowing a motorcycle then. Well, he recognized me when I approached. He looked pretty distracted, packing up the saddlebags on the motorcycle with all kinds of things, but he stopped for a second to talk. Hello, I see you're making your escape. Would you happen to have a spare slot in your escapo machine? He said he was headed towards a fallout shelter. When I asked him what he was talking about, he said to me there's an old shelter down on 3rd, under the Rad Bar. Your old hangout? What are the odds? Anyway, he said he could take me, that he knew the owner of the place. Sounds like a good alternative. What do you think? Well, Chase immediately said no thanks, and he looked at me. What'd you tell him? Let's go get your sister. Sorry, Chess, this is too good an offer. Let's go get the sister. So no, darling. No daring escape into the sunset on your motorcycle with bombs going off behind you. What a pathetic excuse for a power fantasy, the screaming crow says. Huh. God, the Mad Hatter is such a dick. Jesus. I don't think it ever was a power fantasy, or necessarily fantasy at all. Anyway, I still had to make a choice, and I had already lost a lot of time. Okay, walk past the worst, try to steal a vehicle right away, or try my luck with the motorcycle man. Try the luck. The motorcycle seemed like a good idea at the time, except when blah 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 blah. Why is this? Why is it so bad it's repeating itself? God bless it. Oh, I boobed. Fuck. Is there a way to repeat that? I didn't read. Oh, crap. Whoops. It was repeating itself, so I was just skipping through, and then I didn't see the question. Skirt. Hell yes. Chess looked disappointed. I tried in vain to argue with him, but he left. Ray shrugged, and a few moments later we were all packed. Oh no! We were all packed off and off we went. The motorcycle was exactly as efficacious as I thought it would be, skipping past the full cars and even edging through masses of people. We made it to the fallout shelter in excellent time. Why not ask for the motorcycle? I mean, he's not going to need it in the shelter, is he? They stashed them very carefully inside the garage of the Rad Bar, which was right next to the entrance to the fallout shelter. Ray had the key and locked it tight. He seemed pretty sure he'd get them back after whatever this was had blown over. Point being, no bikes for me. The door to the place was in a side alley where the trucks came to load. When we arrived, there was no one else waiting. He knocked, and a moment later, she opened. The bitch queen. The bitch queen? Isn't that a little harsh? Well, I didn't think of her like that at first, no. She saw him first, and she was just so happy. So that was my first experience of her, just this happy redhead wrapping her arms around Ray, giggling and laughing. In her happiness, she let us all in, me included, without a hitch. That doesn't sound very bitchy to me. Oh, she showed her true colors when we got in. So here's the thing. The place had the capacity for well over 100 people, but it was practically empty. You see, she was a self-appointed gatekeeper, keeping anyone and everyone she didn't like the look of outside. What the hell? At a time like this? What a bitch! Told you. Still, must have felt good to finally be safe. Was there anyone else there you knew? Yes, I found a few familiar faces. It was... what? Dink. What's that for? Anyway, it was good to sit down and talk with someone. Well, the feast didn't last. What happened? Soon after we arrived, the second group came. She started arguing with them, and I could immediately tell she wasn't planning on letting them in. I looked around, but no one else was saying anything, and Ray was nowhere in sight. I stepped in. This was unacceptable. I protested naturally. I kept quiet. I'm gonna step in. Damn right. When I raised my voice at her, she turned red. What was your approach? I tried pushing my way in between, but she just pushed me back, and then she called for Ray. And suddenly I found myself alone, surrounded by a whole bunch of rather unkind gentlemen. You bit off more than you could chew. You could say that. She gave me an ultimatum. Step the frick down right now, or leave. What did you do? I backed down. I don't want to risk being thrown out. I mean, that's what I would do personally. I mean, think about it, you know. I know it was just a dream. Or I know it was just a dream, but jeez, what she was doing was just not right. I know, but I was afraid. I didn't want to be thrown out. Well, I understand. Still, boils my blood. Well, anyway, she and her friend closed the door and made sure it was kept closed. I really, really hope whoever was left outside actually left to find other shelter, because when the bombs started to drop... Ah, yes. Bombs. We were all underground, down a set of stairs leading to the actual bunker. It was filled with barrels and barrels of beer and other drinks, but at least there was light, for a while. So it actually happened. Nuclear war. Yes. We had a radio with us, and we all sat clustered around it. At first, there were sporadic reports that the U.S. missile defense system was working, and that it was shooting down the incoming warheads, but then the signal turned off. And a few moments later, we felt a rumble. Well, you know, that's not my problem, because it's not going to stretch. I'll put it over where I need it. Now here, plug it in, and go play. Holy shit, but you were okay? Well, the shelter did what it was designed to do, yes, although at one point, there was a terrible sound just above, and the shelter was briefly filled with dust. I was pretty sure we were all dead. People were screaming, babies were crying, the lights flickered and died. It was the end. Oh man, I'm tired of him saying holy shit. Your subconscious wasn't joking around. We substituted on candles and flashlights and waited for the radio to come back. It did, after a while. What did it say? Just about expected fallout patterns. It sounded very recorded, but I guess there had to be someone alive up there still clicking the buttons. But even that ended after a little while. Wow, okay, so how long did you stay down there? Well, the radio said there was a cloud of radioactive ash coming our way within 24 hours, and told everyone to stay inside until further notice. Then it died. So I guess you stayed at least 24 hours then? Well, of course. The problem came when we tried to leave. What? Well, the shelter was underground, underneath the big trap door. In the house above, it had apparently collapsed on the trap door. We tried to open it, pushed and pushed, but it wouldn't budge. Damn, that's like a real nightmare. Buried alive. Well, we had food down there for a while, and if we started drinking beer with our meals, we could probably stretch it out for weeks. But of course, then we'd all be kind of drunk all the time, too. But what then? Maybe there'd be rescue? Maybe. But what if there wasn't? What did the others think? Ray and his queen wanted to sit tight and wait for help. A few of the others wanted to find an alternative way out, maybe through one of the ventilation shafts. A third option would be to keep working on the trap door. It opened out, but if we removed the hinges and it got collapsed inward and then dug up through the debris, the radioactive debris. Yeah, anyway, people were getting very antsy, so it was time to make some kind of decision. So what did you do? Staying put and waiting for rescue, voted for working on the door. Opening up an alternative exit seemed the wisest, like a ventilation shaft. What did it matter what I wanted? I decided I'd see the others dead. I'm gonna go with the ventilation shaft. Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you get your air from a ventilation shaft? Well, yes, so it was kind of risky to go messing with it, and we all knew that. But the trapdoor didn't feel like a good idea, and neither was just staying put, so it was a shot. So what did you find out? Well, I stood on the shoulders of some of the others and managed to dislodge the grate on one of the shafts in the roof. I shone a flashlight in and saw it was just barely big enough for one thin-shouldered person. Sounds like someone I know. Well, with a bit of help, they pushed me into the shaft. It was tight, very tight, but I could just barely wiggle my way upwards. This was roughly the point I remembered that I have a serious fear of enclosed places. Yeah, that's called claustrophobia. Well, I understand. What if you got stuck? No one would be able to help you, especially if it was somewhere further up. Who knows if it even led to the surface, or if it was unblocked up there. Risky. Yeah, I know. I definitely had some reservations. So what'd you do? We're gonna carry on. Brave. Well, it was that or remain stuck underground. I mean, either way, I was going to die in the dark. Well, still, I think most would prefer to delegate that, or then hope for the best somewhere else. Hey, don't ask me. I did what I did in the dream because that's who I was in the dream. I don't think it was me, exactly. It was more like a future potential me, you know? Now, see, I have had dreams like this. Okay, not the post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic crap, but the ones where it's like it's me, but it's not me at the same time. It's really weird. I call it traveling. It's fun. Anyway. Sure, I guess. Anyway, Crawlspace, how did you do? Well, it was tight, and it got tighter fast. I felt like hyperventilating, but somehow I got my breathing under control. The flashlight helped a lot. Well, I guess you didn't have a piece of mushroom that would make you smaller, did you? Ha, very appropriate. No, I didn't. Anyway, somehow I managed to continue pushing myself up the sides of the tunnel. I got so tired, so fast, every muscle in my body was burning. You can't have been that far underground, though. It must have been just a few dozen feet, right? Oh, it's my uncle. Sorry, my uncle pinged me. Well, sure, but there were filters, and it was thin, and it went straight up, and yeah, it was not fun. The worst part was I didn't even have any proper tools with me, just whatever we had used to pry away the first cover. A claw hammer, I think. What was your strategy? Slow and steady, get through it as fast as possible, just bash my way through anything that comes in my way. I'm gonna say slow and steady. It wasn't easy, and I really don't want to think about what would have happened if I hadn't kept my cool. It would have been so easy to just get stuck. But you didn't. I didn't. Somehow I found myself looking at sunlight streaming in through a grate in the very top. At this point, I had removed about 5 active coal filters, so I knew that whatever else happened, their filtration system would be broken now. In other words, you had to get them out. Yes, except that wouldn't be as easy as that. Jesus, the way things looked up there. I will be right back, y'all. Okay, sorry about that. I had to answer Skype thing. Yes, except that it wouldn't be as easy as that. I mean, Jesus, the way things looked up there. Yes? The whole building had collapsed on top of us. It was nothing but concrete, rebar, and broken glass. Luckily, the ventilation shaft was on the street, and luckily nothing had fallen on it either. But the rest of the city, it was pretty much unrecognizable. So there really had been a nuclear war. I don't think that was ever any doubt. Anyway, I had a bit of a breakdown, but then I got to business. I located the trapdoor soon enough. It was buried underneath a ton of rubble, but it actually didn't look as bad from up here. A concentrated effort from down below with some help from up here would see it cleared within a day, I was sure. What about the radiation? I don't know. We had waited for a while. Everything was covered in a layer of ash, but I had no idea if it was radioactive or not. So, why does that keep moving? These things move. Oh, wow, okay. So there's somewhere probably over here. That's the music, that's backpack, what is this? Here's guys. So what'd you end up doing? I'm gonna click one more of these, and then we're gonna see what the answer is to that, and then I'm probably gonna stop because we've been doing this for about a half hour. I don't know if I'm going to continue this as a series or not, because this is literally all the game is. Now, to me, this is fun. I don't know about the rest of y'all. So, let's figure this out. Left them to their own devices, had to dig them out, of course. Figured it would be faster to dig them out if I found help first. I would have to say found help first. Well, with help, I could probably dig out the whole place a lot faster, and there had to be other survivors around. Well, good thinking. Where did you go? Well, the streets were a mess. Most of the buildings around had either burned or collapsed from some shockwave or other. I wandered around shouting for a while until I decided I needed to be more systematic about it. Okay, systematically looking for help to dig trapped people out of an underground shelter. How do you do that? Well, I started by going somewhere familiar, back to my apartment building, and lo and behold, there it stood, or half of it, anyway. Wasn't badly hit. Okay, on that note, I'm stopping here. So, anyway, like and subscribe if you want. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to continue this as a series or not. I might play this on my own, actually, after this. Because, to me, this is fun, but to you guys, this is probably boring just sitting here for me reading, and nothing's going on but this. So, I'm sorry, I have a cat chittering outside, and it's completely dark, and there's no reason for it to be chittering. It's a little weird, but... Okay. Onward and upward. This is Crescent Moon signing out, and Bye. Before I plagiarize somebody. Bye.